Alright, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to the Cutlass Board Games channel, and we are on episode 3 of Dice Warehouse Logistics. On the last episode, we got to kind of sketch out what the board maybe will look like when we're done. But like as a way to kind of help especially identify the different things. What we're going to be working on today is the different effect cards. They're going to be modeled on similar to what Apiary has, where it's going to have a top and bottom half. Bottom half is endgame scoring, top half is an immediate effect. And then the goal is to figure out how they're all going to work. They're currently like named WHS cards. I don't know how we're going to go and do a layout for that. We'll figure something out. I have some ideas, but basically we want to start off with a poker card size, which is 825, 1125. This is the pixel dimensions that are accepted by the Game Crafter. So that's pretty much what I use all the time. But what that does mean is that there is a 75 pixel outer border. Is it 775? No. I'm opening the calculator. I am a little too sleepy to do quick maths confidently. No, it's supposed to be 750. And then I need a horizontal 75. And then 1050. Cool. I'm gonna make a new layer. We're just gonna make like a really simple black border for now. I want to select inverse and then paint just black. In this, this can always maybe be a pattern or something, but this is just the easiest way to get us started. With that, we have our border. I can close the calculator. So you want a top and bottom half. The bottom half being more important, so maybe something like this. And I also want a bottom panel, something like this. How many of each card I'm going to do, I still need to figure it out. I will probably do a spreadsheet or something at the same time. But for the main part, I've kind of picked 40 cards, how that's going to break down into unique and non-unique and different scoring options. We'll figure out in a second. Let's just start with some textures. Let's get a paper texture. If I could get maybe like a clipboard motif, that'd be kind of cool. A lot of the paper textures on Google are crumpled, very crumpled. I do have, I know you're not going to see any of this, that's fine. I don't want to accidentally reveal something on Google. But I have some saved websites that I use for stock images like this. Maybe we do just want it to be like a really crumpled paper, because that's all it will fucking show me. No, that doesn't quite work either. My options aren't great. I'm spending a lot of time on this when I need not. Unfortunately, I just want something for the background. I'm just going to grab this crumpled paper texture. It's not great, but it'll do. Grab this. Because I want something. Okay, great start. We have a paper thing. I'm going to use that one font that I use for everything. Just throw it on in a black. And we're going to start with variations of the same thing. I have an art resources pack that I use that has dice symbols on it. So let me quickly grab all of those. Sick. Let's just put them in a folder for now. Move them on to the same spawn, I guess. Well, this doesn't need to be that big. I can make it bigger. And obviously this is not what the final is going to look like. This is just to make a playable prototype. So it's a lot less about it looking great, but like looking good enough to understand what's happening. So I don't know, most ones. Is this enough? Is this really simple? Did I mess it up? No, I didn't. I'm going to center this a little bit better. Go like that. Cool. We have most ones. And then one. So the reason why I've created this little space underneath is because what I'm envisioning in my immense mental powers, I'm envisioning that you have a limited number of end game scoring cards that you can play, which I currently think 4 is a good number, but if you get ones with the same clause, you can play them to make the ones that you have better. So it might just be like, so for like, yeah, let's not typo. Scoring onus, yes, +3 or something. And then basically you tuck it underneath so that only the bottom line is showing. Which I kind of want like a line for that. Let me just like real quick make a little line here. That's fine. All right. I'll make an additional one and put it up here. So if you have the most ones, something will happen. And if you have additional ones, it'll make the scoring bonus +3. So I think, well, we haven't put any values on any scoring of anything yet. And I need to pick a number as to how big I want that to be. Also, we didn't put a score track on the board, and there is possibly space for a score track. So maybe that's something I should look into. But I'm thinking like 5 points. Having the most ones gives you 5 points. That's why I will make a big 5. Is that really a big 5? It's certainly large. How's that? So if you have the most ones, you get 5 points. For every additional card that says most ones, you get +3, so it will be 8 and so on. I think that's fine. It just kind of means you're doubling down on a scoring method, which I like as a concept. We then need a top half, and for there to be multiples of this one, all we care about is the bottom half being the same. We don't care about the top half being the same, so we can pick other different top half versions for the same cards, but I think that the total number of effects will be finite. So I might just like make a list. I will, at the bottom of my Google Doc, I will insert a table. Again, you won't be seeing this, it doesn't matter. Just make it a 1 by 10 for right now. No, wait, insert a column. So we're going to do most 1s, then we're going to do most 2s, and so on. Most 3s, most 4s, most 5, most 6s. That gives us 6 options. What other kind of scoring methods do we want? So let's go full set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it goes up to 6. Whoops, me forgetting how many faces on a dice. Also me not being able to spell the word full. What other kind of stuff? So we can have specific things. So I might do like each pair once, and then because this is going to give me quite a few options, we need to insert 10 rows below. There we go. Each pair 2s and so on. I can also potentially do 3 of a kinds. Like I'm just taking some really basic poker hand kind of maths for scoring. I think is a fine place to start. I do like most. It's risky, but also makes you pay attention to what other people are doing, which we want to encourage because this is a low conflict game. We want to have potentially overlapping goals between players, and most of a number means that even if you are not actively going for that specific number, let's say you have most 6s, I do not have most 6s, but I just happen to pull customer orders that need 6s, I will be accidentally competing with you for the most 6s. It engenders conflict in the game where it is already kind of at a conflict minimum, which I like. Whereas stuff like each pair of blanks, it just goes like, oh, I have a lone 1. If I pick up another 1, that will score me a point or something, which I think is fine. If this is 20, let me just actually make 40 rows, because then that's like 1-to-1 all of the cards that I want to have. And the only way getting a scoring bonus is for each one to have more than 1. And if each one is broken down into a 6, how does 6 divide into 40? Anyone? Anyone? It's really easy. It's 6.66 repeater. What if we instead had a deck of 42 cards, then it would divide by 7. I think this is fine is to just have a few different copies of the same things. It could just be pairs. I think it's fine. Just make 2 sets of the same thing is fine. Let me remove full set, and then actually let's put that here instead. Might just do pairs. So if you find the second card of the same thing, you get bonus points. Or there's a hierarchy. Maybe a hierarchy works better. So there's 3 lots of mosts, 2 lots of pairs. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which leaves me 1 set of 6 and then 4 random one-offs. I don't hate that. It means that if you're going for most, you are able to most likely get the scoring bonus, which is, encouraging the higher conflict and game win condition, which I think is fine. If you are doing pairs of specific numbers, you have the potential of getting the specific scoring bonus one. But then for the other ones, I need not add the scoring bonus thing because you won't be able to get multiples. So I might just go each 3 of a kind ones. Is that good? Probably not. I think pairs is fine. Pairs is like really easy to follow and calculate. Maybe 3 of a kind is not what I want. Is there something else better? Because in theory, rather than having a full 6 of something, because I'm going 1s, 2s, 3s, and so on, I have 10 spaces. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 spaces where I could do 5 pairs, which means I still have the scoring bonus card. And so what can I make 5 pairs of? Each full house? What? I don't particularly like that. Poker hands is usually an easy way of doing it. I could do each run of 5, each one of 4 or something. It's going to be too hard to calculate. So maybe customer types. If the customers are color-coded, we can say each blue customer, most blue customers. I don't hate that. We can do 2 pairs of each customer types. If there's 5 customer colors, most blue customers, and then copy that. I'm gonna make a note above. Customer cards come in 5 colors. It has to be 5 colors. So we're gonna go blue, red, green. I have a chart over there that lists all of the colors. Yellow. That's 4. All right, what's the 5th color? Blue again, but different. Purple. Orange. I have orange out already. This is what I'm referring to. I don't just have like a poster on the wall, which is like learn your primary colors. I wanted to specifically get ones that I had things for. So blue, red, green, yellow, orange. Most blue customers, most green customers. They also don't have to be filled, which I think is fine. Most yellow customers, most orange customers. All right, quick quiz. What color am I forgetting? Most red customers. Cool. That's the remainder of our card types. I know again you can't really see what's happening here, but it's just a table. It's not really that exciting right now. Everything is about to be back over on the Photoshop. Okay, so most ones at 5 points. I don't think any of the mosts should be more complicated than it is. Each pair of ones should be like 2 to a pair, and then like if you have the bonus, it's like +1 per pair, +1 each. So that is the thing I'm gonna write down. I'm just gonna say if you have the most, it's 5, which is most of these. There's 18 of them in total. And if you have a bonus, it becomes 8. And if you have a second bonus, it becomes 11. So if you have pairs to compete, and it's 2 per pair, and the bonus is +1, an additional 1, so 3 per pair, that would mean you would need at least 6 pairs, which is 12 dice, to make the same amount in the same way. So we need to make it 3 per pair, perhaps? Because you have to keep in mind, like most dice, to have the most ones, it might be 3 or 4. Players are only going to receive about 12 dice, which is a number I think I might need to bump up Because if you're only receiving 12 dice, I want to have a storage space on the player board. And if that's any greater than 4 dice, there's no reason to ever place anything on the customer mat, except for the fact that you have to lose an action to use the delivery truck. But the delivery truck can move everything, unless if I limit how much the delivery truck can move. Which is a thing that I can do, but it feels like the storage space being small is better. But it doesn't work if you don't have that many dice as a player. Maths is 90% of making a game, unfortunately. So if you're looking at getting a flat 11, possibly, like let's say you're getting a 5, having 2 per pair means that 4 dice gets you 4 points. Like, you still aren't there. So having most means you have to have more than 4 dice. I think 3 per pair means that at 2 pairs, which is 4, which is 1/3 of your pool, means that you should like be the same way, competing for most. But then I think +1 extra per pair is still fine. I know there's only 1 extra card in the deck, which will go from 6 to 8, which is not the same as from 5 to 8. So I think it should be +2 with the bonus. And then this will be the same for all of them. That's fine. Okay, what about most customers? How many customers is a player likely to get? You start with 1, and in 4 rounds, you would get, if you got a customer every round, 4 more. So you'd have 5 customers. I think all of the late game scoring options have a problem because the scale of the game is small. I think I need much more dice, much more rounds for these to become relevant. I think that's the main problem I'm experiencing. If I go to 60, that's 5 rounds. Is that enough? It's still a lot of dice. If I go to 60, it's 5 rounds. Each player can get up to 20 dice. If you have 20 dice and they are all pairs, that's 10 pairs, that's 30 points. That's like a maxima. And then potentially 50 points if you get the bonus. If you have the most 6s and you have both bonuses, you will get 11 points, not 50. Which is suddenly not as good. What is the maximum number of pairs that we think a player could get if they have 20 dice? I mean, only in a 3-player would you get 20 dice because it's slightly different in 4 players. But three on average. 3 if you just threw them, right? And so 3 per pair makes 9 points, which is now higher than 8 with the bonus. Christ almighty. One of the problems with doing maths about how games score is that the distance between 1 and 2 is gigantic. The distance between 9 and 10 is very small. And I know that that sounds really crazy, but it's true, unfortunately. Trying to figure out exactly how to make all of the maths work is usually the beauty of everything. This one in particular is a bit harder because the sets that we have kind of are all over the place. And knowing how many of something a person could make potentially is a bit rough. If I know that let's just say we go up to 60 dice, and that is currently what I have written down for some reason. We have 60 dice. Each player is getting 20 in a 3-player game, which means you have 3.5 pairs, which is 9 points, which means that if you have the most of something, you would need to commit more than 6 dice of that one type, which would mean you would need more than 9 points. So maybe it's like, it just, the bonus is lower. Maybe it's 9 flat. But the bonus is +2. Maybe all the bonuses are just +2. Is that the, whoops, is that the way to go? I don't know. Yes, 59, excellent. I'm now updating my table so that it says 9 and a +2 bonus. So that is then 11 and then 13 on max if you get all 3. It's kind of unlikely to get all 3. But I think that's fine. Let's change this to a 9. I know, finally something on the screen changed. I can't really have both things showing. And I thought this is where all the action would be. But then customers, if there is 60 dice and there is 5 rounds, and you start off with a customer and you're likely to get 4 more customers, what is the likelihood of you filling greater than 2 of the same color customer when there is 5 customers? Easy math question. Please type the answer in the comments. Assuming that, how many did I put down for the number of customer cards? 30. Maybe it should be 25 and there's 5 each. Okay, that does fit better. There's 25 customer tiles, 5 of each of the 5 types, which means that if you get 5 of the same one, the theoretical maxima, you will guaranteedly have most customers of that thing. But I think it needs to be orders completed of that thing, which is important. And so scoring it on a 3 is probably fine. Is it going to be as easy to get as... I think it can just be the same. Do I just want to make them so that they're all just mosts and it's the same number? Is that boring? Is that boring if they're all the same? This series is much more a descent into madness than an informative experience, but the idea is that I'm showing you exactly what I'm doing every step of the way building this game. You know exactly how many hours went into it. You see the whole process from start to finish. And you get to see me suffering and struggling. The only thing that you don't get to see is me in the shower going, wait, what if when you tipped a dice, you could replace your meeple so that you could guarantee you take more dice? Real story, thing that happened. I came and I added it to my notes. And maybe this was not the best next step to come in and start with endgame scoring, because there's other scoring stuff on the board that I want to look at and do. But I don't know, maybe this helps set the tone, helps you figure what that's supposed to be. Because I need to do customer cards at some point. I need to figure out in which way the customer cards will score. And I think if a player maximum gets 20 dice, not guaranteed, you could get anywhere between 16 and 20, which I think is quite likely. Which means you're going to be placing about 16 dice on customers. Which means if every customer requires 4 things to be satisfied, and you have 5 customers, that's exactly 20. Maybe I want to make it so that players can get more customers than that, because you want to have some of them be unfilled. What I have currently is 3 opportunities for a customer to be collected, which is 1 each in a 3-player game, and then in a 4-player game, one guy misses out. Which means you're going to have like a really low number of customers to fulfill. One day I will figure out how to do my job. But I'm feeling closer to what it's supposed to be. I'm feeling closer to like how I'm putting it together. And elaborately what it becomes. Because I like the idea of doubling up with a bonus, because we have in the HR, you place a guy in HR, and instead of just drawing the top card, you get to look at an amount of them and then pick one, which means it will be slightly easier to find a scoring bonus for a thing that you're going for already. Which does kind of work. Maybe my problem is the pairs. Maybe there's other things that we need to be assessing. Because I also don't want to make it, you have to count something that happens. Like, most times, Meeple is bumped or something. Something that's not counted naturally. Or something that's not accessible from the end game state. So like most remaining cards in hand is one that 12 Rivers uses. We could just have the most customers. We could have the most dice of one type, which is what we have. I think pairs is maybe the problem. I'm not sure. I kind of like the layout that I have. Let's put a pin in the exact mathematics for right now, because I feel like I'm spiraling. I'm not going anywhere. Let's take a minute to look at some possible card effects. Let's just make another table. So something like swap to, there will probably literally be workers. It does not need to be 150. You may rejoice, for I have put something new on the screen. Let's find a Meeple image. Here is an SVG. I do not specifically want an SVG, I want a PNG, but this will do nicely. Here's a JPEG of a Meeple. I'll make it a PNG. We are just gonna make a, I've selected something accidentally. Small diagram. I'm gonna go to my YouTube thumbnail editing stuff and grab the arrow that I put on the extra exciting YouTube things. Thumbnail pieces, I think go like this. There you go, this is a diagram. It probably could use capital letters. There we go. Okay, now this is a good example of an effect, because it means that I can play out my card anytime. It will probably be restricted to before things start resolving, and it would be during the placement phase, and then you're just swapping the location of 2 workers, which I think is fine. Which is kind of interactive. I think that's fine. Swap 2 workers is a really easy one, and then basically each card of the same type. So for example, most ones would have a second, like the other version, because currently we've got 3 of them. The other 2 versions would have different card effects, and that would make all the cards unique. That's kind of the idea. And then if What else? What else are some good options, right? Swap 2 workers. I'm constantly looking back over here at the board that I have drawn. You may look at it with me. This is my son. I drew him earlier this morning. We could have it as something like re-roll dice on the conveyor belt. It would have to be before the conveyor belt starts moving, or right before someone else picks something up. You go, oh, I'm gonna re-roll this. So it might be re-roll dice in your storage. I like that. I pressed a button and something happened. This is what happens when you work consecutively for 17 days without a break. Things stop working in the brain. Reroll up to 2 dice in your storage. I do kind of like that one. Because it's not ruining somebody else's day. I want to have some stuff that doesn't ruin somebody else's day. What about... Do I want to have something that refreshes the customer shop? I don't think so. Maybe that's what the Foreman ability does. The Foreman lets you empty all the customers and get new ones. That's not the worst. And or shuffle the discard back. The WHS discard pile back in. I'm going to make a note. I'm going to write on the thing. Reset customer shop and or reshuffle discard of the WHS. Because if you're looking for pairs with full scoring bonus, you're like, well, I need the second card that has -1s, and someone has played that card for its effect. You need that card back in the deck to be able to find it. So either a reshuffle works, or being able to take cards from the discard pile also works. Being able to draw the top card of the discard pile is like a classic trick-taking game type thing. Maybe not trick-taking, but like set collection kind of games, which I think also kind of works. So in that case, do I want extra customer cards? I think yes. And then maybe 30 is just 6 of each. I think that is also fine. Knowing that you could only get 5, you are unlikely to get every single one of them. You're not guaranteed a monopoly. That's okay. And if there's 30 customers and there's space for 3 at a time, that means that you would see 10 unique ones per space. Clearing the shop isn't that big of a deal. I'm kind of okay with that. What about something like if you would take a customer, take 2. If you would take a customer, take 2. Stuff like that is really good because like this card says take a customer, but you must be doing that action already, and that action gets you a customer. This card says if you would take a customer, take 2. I kind of like that because the card incentivizes you to do a specific action. And I think we want some more of that. Reroll up to 2 dice in your storage sort of incentivizes you to use the delivery trucks because you're getting towards the end. You're like, I haven't found a place for these dice. Rerolling them will let me use the delivery trucks and put them on a scoring customer board, which I think works. So I'm okay with that. What else? What is some other stuff? We could just do tip a dice before collecting I think that's fine. What did 12 Rivers had? 12 Rivers allowed you to place a guy somewhere, allowed you to collect an extra thing. We can do that. The next worker of yours collects 2 dice instead. Which means if you have a person after you who's eagerly awaiting the second dice, you can intercept and take an extra. We also want a couple of effects like this because we have guys at the bottom that are looking to collect things as well. And the way that 12 Rivers does it, where basically whatever's left over at the end, the one guy can collect all the things. We want to have something similar, but we have 4 dice and spaces for 5 people. So in theory, all of the pieces could be taken by the 5 people before it comes to the guy at the bottom. So you're kind of assuming that there's going to be tipping, not just collecting going on here before picking it up at the bottom. Which I think is fine. And if you just tip a dice, you can then replace the meeple somewhere at a lower position, which might just be at the end of the conveyor belt. And the person at the end of the conveyor belt takes all the dice, which might not be that many. What do I do with the meeple in collections that doesn't receive a dice? Is that a sucked in moment, or is something supposed to happen there as penance? Maybe you draw a card or something. I'm going to make a note of that. I don't know if that's specifically what I want to happen, but if a meeple did not collect a dice this turn, draw a card when returning to break line. Which I think is fine. Yeah, which I think is fine. What else? The next worker the next worker that acts is placed on the board at a lower position. This means that after a guy done something, you can play the card and then that guy can be put somewhere lower, which is the same as what a meeple tipping does, because they'll get replaced somewhere lower, but you can do it additionally. But the thing is, because it activates from top to bottom, you can never put it in a place that gives it a better position. You can always just be another different action. But it is important because if you use it on someone that's just collected a dice, you get the dice, but then you're putting the meeple in a place like the dispatch office to collect a customer, in human resources to get cards, or delivery trucks to move dice from your player board onto the customer cards. All things that you want to be doing, but not necessarily at the cost of taking a dice instead. So I think this is really important. Like, maybe enough to have like many of them in the deck, or many things like that. But that's 6 effects of 10. If I have 40 cards, these with 4 more will be repeated 4 times. Is just 4 of that card enough? So maybe I should do variations on a theme. The next worker that acts, it's implied that it's of yours, is placed onto the conveyor belt at a lower position, if possible, if available or something. Which I think is fine, because it's like, okay, instead of tipping, I'm collecting, but I get to play the card and then move my guy down a space, which will also collect the dice, which I think works okay. So basically, what I'm thinking is up top, just like Apiary, you are able to have a card effect that you can discard and use immediately. Then, a scoring mechanism. I don't think I want an action to do it, but I do want it to be known by the players. Shit. That's what the Foreman office does. I'm scribbling out my notes. The Foreman office... Crap. Activate a WHS cards scoring side. But we have a problem. There's only one space in the Foreman's office. But I think you can just place a card in the Foreman's office to do that. Maybe the Foreman can do it X2 or something. I kind of like that. Because Apiary had a specific action that was quite difficult to do to play your endgame scoring card. And I think because players being bumped can be put into the Foreman's office, it doesn't activate that effect, but takes up the space. So it's going to be harder because you can't bump out of the Foreman's office. It's going to be harder to place it in there if it's full. And it means that if you place it in as the Foreman, you can do it twice, which I like. I think that works nicely. But you in particular, we need to take a break. I think we have achieved somewhat. I know you don't see much on the screen. It's all in the document, but basically what I do from this step is just like rewrite all the stuff in the document onto the card and then save each different version of the card. So I'll have all of the most ones, but I'll change what the top effect is for whatever the options are going to be, and then make all the different cards. This was just kind of a template to help me organize what the 3 different spaces were going to look like. I probably should have just had the document on the screen the whole time. But I'm kind of talking through it all anyway. More importantly, what is happening is what I'm saying, what I'm doing and thinking, right? But to get this prototype complete, I need 40 cards of the deck. So that's on my to-do list. I'm going to work on making 40 cards. They're probably not going to look like this. It's really bare bones. I would love to have like a nice graphic design thing that's got like caution tape, or like maybe it looks like a clipboard or something like that, to put it together. And then after that, I have to design customers. So maybe the next step is we're going to be designing some customer cards. But I do kind of want to nail down what the scoring looks like. But maybe knowing what the customer cards will look like will help me nail down the scoring for the endgame cards. But we figured out how to play the endgame cards, which is kind of a roundabout way of, I don't know, getting there. But that's kind of what this series is going to be like. It's going to be me thinking about what the next step is, trying to put stuff together. Each little piece is just going to add something small to the overall project, and then eventually we're going to have a cool playable game. It's going to take some time. That's kind of the idea. And part of the idea of why this channel exists is to make the process of everything, of designing the game, of publishing a game, of working a convention, like really kind of obvious, really not like trying to make it public like it's a fucking announcement, but so that people that want to do this kind of thing have an idea of what's entailed with it, because making a game is only really a small percentage of it. And the better the game, the more it can speak for itself. I mean, that also doesn't make much sense, but promise me it has some truth to it. But that's going to be it for this episode. If you are keen on Dice Warehouse Logistics, stick around, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to have a playlist up on the screen. If you've missed an episode, if you've missed the first episode, you know, that it kind of does the initial brief and explaining what's going on. If you missed the second episode, where I actually draw the board, you can actually see me figuring out what is going on the board and what is going to be happening with it. All of that stuff and more. And look, if the next episode's already out, you will find it there. So go ahead and click all the buttons on your screen, and then hopefully next time we'll have some other cool stuff to add to the game.